Teamwork and lack of trust. Let's go! A few years ago, I was working with a company that was trying to do its best to provide value and professionalism to those that we worked with. Unfortunately, there was some trust, but not enough trust in each of us. And the individual responsible at the top of our company behaved in ways that hurt us. Wouldn't allow for tool discussions, made final calls without really listening to us and allowing us to decide on the best decision as opposed to the decision made by the top guy. This hurt us in a couple of ways. One, we made less than ideal decisions. That's never a good thing. And two, because there was lack of trust, it made us not want to work as hard as we could. It didn't allow us or support us to put our best foot forward. And that really affected how I went out and worked with teams, departments, and executives. Hopefully your team isn't like this one. Another team that I was part of really focused on building trust and putting out great quality product. The product for us was actually to support and bring about great education and opportunities for learning for a large area. We got to provide a conference every year, which was our kind of main event. And our group, which was only about 5 people, quickly became a team because one, we built trust by actually talking openly and honestly about things and allowing good decisions that had merit to surface at the top and those that not be pushed aside. And secondly, we were vulnerable with each other. We shared our struggles, what was important for us, what we needed, and how others could help. That team was probably the most effective team I've ever been on. And we were able to accomplish amazing things with little resources, little money, and a small team. I hope that you have found teams like this one. Yes, I'm talking about teams. Teams are things that all people are part of one way or another. Unfortunately, education doesn't really provide much team opportunity, but the professional space does. Often you come out of university and you are thrown into a team, and you have no idea what you're even supposed to do. Luckily, there are tricks and tips you can do to improve your team and your contributions to those teams. So let's look back on these 2 stories I shared. There were 2 key elements that I spoke about. One was trust. Trust is often seen as a soft skill. Unfortunately, soft skills get a bad rap. Soft skills are things that require behavioral change and are demonstrated. They're not hard skills like programming or painting. Instead, they are how we work together. And it's really important that we work together on our teams because the best teams succeed. The worst teams cause harm to themselves and to others. So, building trust is really important. One of the quickest ways to do that is to get to know each other. Get to know each other outside of work, outside of the workspace that you're in. Learn about each other's lives. Find out about each other's hopes and dreams. These are the kinds of things that help. So be open and honest about what you need and who you are. The second thing that's really important is vulnerability. Vulnerability means talking about something really important, really close to one's heart and who you are, without sugarcoating it or changing it to make it fit the audience. Instead, talk about what's important to you. Be vulnerable. A few years back, I was working as a consultant at CBC. This project that I was working on with another consultant was to help this organization really improve the dynamics and teamwork of the department. So, when we had a conversation to practice having this vulnerability, I was paired up with a project manager who later became a coach and consultant himself at CBC, which was wonderful. To get this started and to set the bar very high, I shared a story about the struggles my wife and I were having in trying to conceive a child. And I shared this story. It was really painful and difficult and really important for me to talk about. My partner in this discussion was somewhat dumbfounded. He wasn't sure what to say. After my 2 minutes of sharing my story, he said, "I'm sorry, Paul. I didn't know what to say. I asked a couple questions and I just listened." And I told him that's exactly what I needed you to do. Listen to what I was saying, try to feel my pain, understand where I'm coming from. So, what can you do to improve your teamwork and improve trust and vulnerability, which ultimately will improve the abilities of your team to take on large problems and succeed together? The first exercise is called personal histories. This is where each person answers 5 questions about their lives. Questions such as, what is my hometown? Or what was my favorite job? I'll put the questions down in the description. And after you share your responses to these questions, the other members of your team can actually give comments, ask more questions to better understand. And after everybody had a chance to share and respond to comments, questions, you will feel much closer to each other because you have shared something important about yourself. And you now know something important, or many things important, about your colleagues, your teammates. This is one really important step to build trust. You can't build trust if you don't know the people on your team. The second exercise I want you to try is called strengths and improvement. Just like the first exercise, each person will share the most important strength they have and how that contributes to the team, as well as an area of improvement where they need the team to step up and support them. I'll give examples in the description below. After each person shares their strength and their area of improvement, the others will give comments and questions and potentially suggestions on what they think it is based on what they've seen. Because sometimes we're not so aware of our own strengths and how that contributes. Also, we may not be so aware of the areas for us to improve. We may not see them, but often other people around us that we work with do. Obviously, this requires safety, psychological safety, to be done well. The first exercise is pretty light and easy and can be done when a group first gets together. This activity might even need a facilitator to kind of set some ground rules, to make sure that everybody is being kind and considerate and patient with each other, because sometimes it takes a lot of courage to share these things. And that's what vulnerability is all about. Being vulnerable means sharing something that is deep within us and needs to be shared and spoken about with others. Vulnerability requires courage. That's how teams progress. It's not through time, it's through action. And courage is an amazing action we can take with each other. Now that your team has practiced both personal histories and strengths and improvements, you're moving towards a more effective, cohesive, collaborative, and unified team. Teams that are unified solve big problems in amazing ways and continue to do so for the long term. Now it's important to actually practice these skills, not just in a workshop setting or in one single meeting, but ongoing. The way to do this is to identify someone in the group or new team to actually bring out vulnerable conversations and look for opportunities to build trust. So when you're in a conversation with any members of your team, when someone's being vulnerable, is to appreciate and praise that vulnerability, to look for opportunities to make sure that's called out in a very positive and encouraging way. Because courage will only continue if there's safety. And courage will continue much easier if there's safety and encouragement. The more you encourage yourself to talk and others to talk, the better you will be, the more effective your team will be. If you look in any organization or industry, or your athletics, any group or team that succeeds is one that effectively works together. If you take an example of basketball, the teams that do the best are not the ones that have the top player, but are the ones that effectively work together with a couple of key standouts, potentially. Organizations, professional teams that do the best are the ones that are not afraid to talk about the difficult conversations, the difficult topics, bring them up without fear, because everyone is encouraged to do that. Everyone is looking for the best way to solve the problem, the best way to bring out great value and contribute the most they can in the time allotted. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is part 1 in a series of videos on how to improve teamwork. The next video will focus on the power of conflict and how that is essential for a team to improve and to be effective. If you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel as I bring in a new video each week, helping you succeed, helping you improve in your professional lives. Thanks so much. Have a great week.